Oz Perkins usually shows up higher in my countdown, and don't get me wrong, if there's a Perkins film out, I'm seeing it ASAP. Still, I feel The Monkey was a little too wonky compared to his more dread-filled films that I've come to expect from the filmmaker. Still, The Monkey deserves a spot on the countdown, so here it is at number 23. At number 23 is The Monkey. It was released on February 21st, 2025, and is streaming on Hulu from Studio Neon. It's directed by Osgood Perkins and written by Osgood Perkins from a story by Stephen King. As children, twin brothers Bill and Hal, both played by Christian Convery, inherit a drum-playing monkey toy from their estranged father. They soon realize that when the monkey is activated, someone near the twins dies. After a number of deaths caused by unfortunate accidents, the boys decide to throw the monkey down a well. But 25 years later, the monkey finds its way back into the lives of Bill and Hal, now adults, both played by Theo James. Each of the brothers have different ideas of how to deal with the monkey and its murderous rampage, with Bill wanting to get rid of it for good, while Hal embracing its dark ways. The prolific Osgood Perkins returns with a new film loosely inspired by Stephen King's short story, The Monkey, and produced by James Wan. That's a pretty potent combination, and though both Wan and King have delivered some stinkers in their day, I have yet to be burned by the often obtuse but always entertaining Perkins. Perkins simply sees the world differently than most, and I feel he's the closest thing to David Lynch as we're going to get these days. His films are dreamlike, can be interpreted in different ways, and deliver sights, sounds, and ideas that feel utterly unique. Watch any of his films, from I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, to The Blackcoat's Daughter, to Gretel and Hansel, to Longlegs. And while all of them are strange and unique from anything you've seen before, they all feel outside of the mainstream. Well, The Monkey is probably Osgood Perkins' most mainstream film yet, and it's a hell of a good one at that. The biggest surprise of The Monkey is how downright funny it is. While you can say a lot about his previous films, Perkins is not known for his comedy. Most of his films are morose and overly serious, maintaining a level of tension and dire overtones that never let up to give the viewer a sense of relief, with a laugh, or even a mild chuckle. But The Monkey makes up for that big time. It's pitch-black humor from beginning to end. It never goes so far as to make fun of the curse the twins are dealing with, but still highlights the ridiculousness of it all, and somehow it all turns out hilarious. Now, comedy being subjective and all, I can't guarantee you'll laugh as much as I did at The Monkey. My appreciation of the darkest of humor runs pretty deep. But if you can acknowledge that something amusing can be plumbed from even the most serious of situations or subject matter, then this is going to be the gory comedy for you. Now, if there's a weakness to The Monkey, it's that Perkins does try to sell some tender moments, and I think because the dark humor is so thick and tangy, some of those tender moments, such as the special time the boys get to spend dancing with their mother, played by a very funny Tatiana Maslany, who we last saw in the She-Hulk travesty, those moments just don't hit as hard as I think those involved were trying to deliver. So while Perkins is trying to say something about parents and their children, most of the time about absent fathers and their sons, but also during the moments Maslany and the boys get to spend together, these heavier themes just don't land as they're drowned out by the over-the-top death sequences and dark humorous tone. But just because The Monkey fails to resonate on an emotional level doesn't mean it doesn't deliver on everything else the film promises, namely shocks and gore. While some of the Rube Goldbergian sequences are highly reminiscent of the Final Destination series, Perkins delivers some truly original and gnarly sequences of violence and gore. Blood is spattered to and fro like it's hooked up to a sprinkler system, body parts are decimated and dislocated, simple household appliances and harmless tools become deadly weapons in Perkins' hands,
and the kill count this little monkey makes is enough to make an 80s horror fan get misty. Now, I haven't seen Theo James before this film, but he does a fantastic job in this dual role. He looks a little bit like a lost Franco brother, but don't hold that against him. He handles the more outrageous aspects of this film realistically. As Bill, his reactions to the deaths reflect the way the audience is supposed to feel, not really believing the carnage this monkey is capable of, and somehow being right within the splash zone every time it occurs. As Hal, James embraces his more sadistic side, though still playing everything straight, or how crazy he looks, sporting a mullet and stretching into a little boy's suit as a full adult. Adding to the fun was the aforementioned Tatiana Maslany, whose hilarious take on life's ups and downs skew the boy's understanding of reality. It's a perverse role, and she has to say some extremely wrong things, but she delivers them with sincerity. I laughed at the monkey from beginning to end, and while it might miss the boat at selling the feels, it was a damn fun movie to experience. Perkins shows that he can dabble in the mainstream, or maybe the mainstream has just caught up with his devilish and skewed view of life and death. Either way, see this one. It's a gory good time.
And speaking of curses, the next film worth mentioning definitely fits the bill. It's not about a cursed object, but the folks in this film are cursed nevertheless. Worth noting is The Damned, released on January 3rd, 2025, and streaming on Hulu from Vertical Entertainment. It's directed by Thordur Paulson and written by Jamie Hannigan and Thordur Paulson. A young widower named Ava, played by Odessa Young, inherits the responsibilities of a fishing outpost after her husband perished along the rocks in the treacherous waters off the coast of a 19th century Icelandic village. Since her husband's demise, the fish have been scarce, and the crew are tired and hungry. When a foreign ship crashes along the same very rocks that killed her husband, Ava makes the hard decision to leave them to die, as rushing to their aid would only make for less food and supplies for her crew. But making that decision may have evoked a primal curse which causes madness and death to spread across Ava's small village like the plague. Man, is this a bleak one. The overpowering force of The Damned lies in its atmosphere. You're going to feel the bitter cold these fishermen and two women have to endure. The frozen muddy beaches, the layers of clothes the actors wear, and the way they cling desperately to them ensured that this was most likely a pretty miserable shoot. The wear and tear of this cold climate can be seen on the weathered faces of the entire cast. This is no glamour flick with polished actors. This is a swarthy and dismal time director Thordur Paulson has captured with every frozen frame. The chill becomes a character in itself, ever present and ever threatening. The Damned isn't a thrill a minute. It's one of those slow starters, letting the story seep in like the cold under a cabin door. The Damned is much more about superstition and paranoia, and those are details best left not rushed to. These people are at their wits' end, famished and exhausted, now heap on the guilt of leaving an entire crew out in the cold to die, and it makes for the darkest of psychological horrors. It's that same kind of feelings of paranoia and peril that permeated the pinnacle of snow-covered horror, John Carpenter's The Thing. I guess it is the cold outside, forcing one to stay inside and in close quarters with one another, that pushes that paranoia to the max. Whatever it is, it works its magic in The Damned as well. The Damned keeps the true threat under wraps for most of the film, while the crew becomes more paranoid and end up dying one by one. The superstitious crew blame a monstrous curse, and that leads to quite a few nice and creepy sequences of nightmare imagery, but the true horror comes in the final moments. It's an intriguing way to end the film, saying much about the power of suggestion and shared psychosis in perilous situations. Beautifully shot with a whole lot of scenes of gorgeous landscapes of places I don't ever want to go to, The Damned is a moody and dismal movie that deals with some deep and dark psychosis. There are some very strong acting turns, especially from the lead Odessa Young, Downton Abbey's Soyben Finnerman as the elder caretaker of the crew, and Green Room's Joe Cole as one of the fishermen. But the cold takes center stage. You'll want to bundle up for The Damned. It's a nippy one for sure, but it's also damn fine psychological and gothic horror reminiscent of those moody Hammer films of old. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your own favorite movies of the year. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.